Good evening. Welcome to Barnes & Noble. I'm very happy to welcome you back to the new season of Brooklyn Poetry Outreach Open Mic.
Seventh year.
Seventh year, hosted by our dear friend, Ken Siegelman.
That's
I'm glad to see you guys back. I recognize so many of you guys come all the time. Good to see you. Hope you all had a great summer. We're all here because of Ken's goal to have a venue for the poets of Brooklyn to showcase and share their work. He's the author of 10 books of poetry, including City Souls, and because of his great love for and dedication to his work, he is the subject of the docudrama Fading to Zero, which premiered this May. Mr. Siegelman has mentored countless young poets and is a friend to all who love poetry and recognize the power of words to change the world. Now that summer is officially over, we will once again host Brooklyn Poetry Outreach Open Mic once a month. And it is only fitting that we kick off this new season with Ken Siegelman as a featured poet. So we are honored to have him with us. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brooklyn's Poet Laureate, Ken Siegelman.
Thank you. I just want to say a few words before I introduce Liz Koch, who is the Arts and Culture Specialist for the Borough President. I want to thank Marty Markowitz, not just for having appointed me, but for giving me the widest possible latitude and liberation to use poetry in a variety of places, from the rehab, and Phoenix House, and all throughout to regular, authentic quote poets. When I first got the job, I remember wanting to work with some of the old timers who had had this position before, and they said, "We don't know who you are." And I said, "Well, I don't know who you are." But the position of the Poet Laureate should be one to build bridges to other poets. So if I extend my hand, and I noticed when I was doing it they had a lighter on, I said, "You know something? If I can't work with you, I'll work around you." And I didn't realize at that time how true it was that there are 2.5, 3 million people in Brooklyn. It's a city unto itself. And there is so much talent that went untapped by narcissistic poets from certain parts of Brooklyn who believed that they were the elite force in poetry in New York. And they were really talking to themselves. And thank Marty for giving me that opportunity to bring other people. In my program, Alcoholics Anonymous, I learned a long time ago that in order to keep things, you have to give it away. And I understood what that meant logically, but I never knew what it meant internally, emotionally, until I started becoming Poet Laureate. My God, could you imagine having to listen to the same guy every month just because he has the position of Poet Laureate? I don't think you'd want it. I know I wouldn't. I'd be bored myself. Let me take this opportunity to ask Liz Koch, who is, as I say, art and culture specialist for the Borough President, to say a few words. I want to say one thing on her behalf. This is a woman who certainly, more than anything, is underpaid. The book fair, the Brooklyn Book Fair, was one of the most I looked behind it, one of the most complicated possible arrangements of literary talent, spanning the gap from young people to old poets to authors to everyone. And she did a job that I could not even begin to handle. With that, I give you Liz.
Thank you, Ken. No one can ever argue when someone says you're underpaid.
Well, I just was being politically diplomatic, but it's true. It's true.
The fall season in Brooklyn, the literary season, always begins with Brooklyn Poetry Outreach, so it's a wonderful thing to be here today and have Ken be the featured poet for launching the season. It was amazing to me when 7 years was mentioned, because it doesn't seem that long, but during that time so many people have come through this room and have had the opportunity to be part of this program. So it's a truly wonderful thing that Ken has created. He opened the book festival for us this year, which was a really great thing on the main stage of Borough Hall.
Thank you so much.
And we did have, during the course of the day, 20,000 people come. Wow. So we know that Marty believes that Brooklyn is the literary center of the world, and I think that kind of proves his point that there are so many people coming out to enjoy the written word and to appreciate the authors that we not only have in Brooklyn but across the country. Enjoy the evening, and another great season begins.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you so much. Okay, I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight. Without you, without shared talent, there is no talent. To be a solitary prisoner with the written or spoken word in a cell by yourself is not sharing talent. This is an opportunity for all of us. And I'd like to thank you for coming. I thank the borough president. I thank Liz. I thank Barnes & Noble for affording me this opportunity. I'm sure you're aware, and you are savvy people, that it's not easy to get a position, a spot in Barnes & Noble, Park Slope, where everything is dependent on the community relations director, in this case Peaches Davis. And it's a wonderful thing. So I was able to negotiate it, brought it back to Marty. He said, okay. I went to Phoenix House. I worked there with a number of people, brought it back to Marty. He said, good. This is so wonderful to work with that kind of freedom. I never will, I will never forget it. And it's so wonderful. All right, let me begin. Today, in this time of dismal crisis in our country, only now do some Americans, at times like this, do some Americans begin to question and look at the darker side of the American value system. Because now we're vulnerable. Now things aren't as normal. People aren't getting richer, buying bigger homes, buying bigger cars, buying bigger diamond rings. It's not America as they're used to it. But this darker side to our value system of free enterprise and private property has always been there. Only now I might have a better audience for it than I did at earlier times. Private property. The man who stood alone and free on a mountaintop in Tennessee named the mountain for his family, as if the Indian burial grounds were invisible in every thicket he passed through daily hunting game. He carved the forest with his axe in a clearing all around the house he built to better see whoever might advance on him. In his loneliness, he came to see his rifles as a guarantee that other men would stay away or detour miles around to find a mountain of their own. His cabin steamed in summer in its shadeless clearing, so he took to camping out all day and night, but worried if some passing pilgrim or Indian would occupy his empty home while he was away. He fenced his property all around, but found the deer grew scarce inside his little kingdom. So he branded them as his inside his mind and tracked them yards outside his fence, where another mountain king shot him through the head for trespassing on private property.